When Emma Lefebvre told me that she wanted to do something with me and paint together, in fact, she wanted to learn from me, I was in awe because I have always enjoyed Emma's work, and not only that, her teaching style as well. And for so many of you, Emma is also part of this giant art community where she has contributed so much. So today, I'm going to be bringing you through our start to finish process as we paint pink together. We are going to be painting our flowers in various versions. You should go over to her channel to check out her process because she is also going to be going through how she has painted these exact same 3 pink flowers. Now today we're going to be painting the Magnolia flowers, and our video is going to be a little different because I'm going to be having a chat with Emma Lefebvre as we are painting together, and in between I'm going to be sliding in a few tips and techniques on how my painting is building up. So I hope that this new format of video is not too distracting and it's still fun and fulfilling for you to see our process as we both paint together. So let's jump in. Here's a look at the supplies that I'll be using. Now every time you hear a little instrument, this means that both Emma and I are going to be speaking. So this gives you a little preempt as to when to expect that.
Should we do let's just do the Magnolia first.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was 3...
Where's the Magnolia? 321. 321. Okay.
Welcome to today's tutorial. I'm starting the Magnolia flower with a very light wash of pink. This is to map out the flower shape, and you can see that I'm adding in slightly darker color values just to give it little hints of shadows on the edges and the centers of the flowers. Using a small round brush, I'm going in while the paper is still wet so I can add some soft veins to my petals.
What brush are you using?
I'm using my flat brush.
I need to get one of those because I only have a 3/4 inch. And I feel like the smaller 1/2 inch is nice.
So the 1/2 inch is great because this one, right, it's long also. So it's almost like a rigger if you think about it. It's like a rigger flat brush. So you get a lot more long strokes. Like I have a square brush too, and because it's so broad on the edge, it doesn't really
I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna attempt it with the flat brush. I've been really enjoying it, but we'll see how this goes. Okay, I'm nervous. I don't know why.
I know, I'm nervous too, friend.
While waiting for the first layer for the first flower to dry, I start working on the second flower.
So when you were a psychologist?
Yes, I was.
So what did you do?
So I've been working with kids.
Mm-hmm.
I work in a clinic that specializes in ADHD actually.
If you want to tune in to the rest of that conversation, head over to Emma Lefebvre's channel because she's also putting up our chats. Now you see those really dark pink shapes that I've put on the paper, and those essentially are petal folds from the Magnolia flower. And I'm going to be using a very light wash of pink to connect to those so you get to see how these petals start to form. Now what I enjoy doing is I want to have those soft veins, so I'm working while the paper is still wet so that I get really nice blends and bleeds. I'm also using a smaller round brush because this means that I will have less water on my brush, so I've got better water control and I'm going to prevent those blooms from happening. Take your time with this flower because one thing is that it only has a couple of petals. However, the center is where most of the shadow lies. So you can see that I'm really focusing a lot of my darker values there. Now let's work on the third flower. And this here is a side-facing flower that is kind of pointing upwards. I'm using Wet n Wet here, where I started with a really light wash of pink, following which I'm just outlining the edges of the petals.
Like people are asking me like, what are you doing all day? Like, oh yeah, well, I'm trying to get my kids to sleep because my kid won't sleep. No,
Oh
my
gosh.
kids never nap. Like it
Oh
was so
no.
horrible. Nobody told me about this no nap thing. So my first kid was a no napper, so I didn't paint at all. I couldn't paint because I was just like by the time I actually boiled water to make tea for myself, like she would wake up.
Oh,
Always. She was I called her the 37-minute napper because she would
oh my
always wake
God.
up and stir at 36 minutes. I know it's their sleep
Yeah,
cycle.
it is.
So yeah.
Yep. That's one thing I love about watercolor is that once they wake up, like if you have to just like press stop on your recording and like let everything dry, like you're not going to mess up your painting, right? Because it's
Yes,
watercolor. It's
yes.
just you can
Exactly,
reactivate it.
exactly.
When you add your stems, make sure that it's of a really dark color value because the flowers are already so light. If everything looks really light, then your whole painting is going to look washed out. So make sure you choose a nice deep brown.
And you know, the funny thing about this motherhood thing is that I feel like, so when I was watercoloring before I had kids, I would just paint everything in one layer. I was a fast painter. The funny thing is, I was a fast painter when I had no kids.
Yeah.
And I became a slow painter when
And now
I
that you
had
actually
kids.
could use that time, you're like,
Yeah. So that's the funny thing.
At this stage, my painting is fully dry, so you can see that as I'm adding layers, there's no blending and bleeding happening. You want to make sure that your brush does not have too much water either, so as I've said, I'm using my smaller brush because that controls water better. Now the next stage of this painting, you're going to be watching me add layers, and I'm just going to be adding tiny veins as well as stamens or even a couple of shadows at the center of the flower, so this adds volume to my flower.
so like when you're paint, because I paint in just like one layer basically, maybe two at best, but when do you plan out or like your paintings, like when you're doing all these layers, do you like, I'm going to do this many layers, I'm going to do this first and this next, like do you plan it out in your head or do you just kind of go for it? Because like I don't even know what I'm doing most of the time.
Like, to be honest, I just go for it. Like exactly like what you just said. Like I most of the flowers that I've painted on the YouTube channel, I've not painted before. And I just tell myself like I'm just gonna try it out and go for it. Like that's the only way to
and
learn,
then just hope it works out.
Yeah, exactly. And if it doesn't work out, then okay. Right. And that happens. Not all paintings work out. I've had videos that I can't use. And
me too.
it's just how it is, I guess. You know, and yeah, it's all a work in progress. I don't always have things that work out, but I think it's also discovery, I guess. Like if I didn't try, I wouldn't know. Just like you know when you did the flat brush rose, and I thought it was so fun that you did it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna challenge myself and I'm gonna try doing the rose. And the rose is a flower that I hate. Like I just don't like
I don't like them either.
I find them so hard. And not just that, like I just find that I never understand that C-shape thing, like the C curve thing. Like for some reason, the more I do it, the more it just looks like cabbage.
But you have a different style too. I like your style. Like mine, like I don't know what I'm doing right now. I feel like I'm channeling more you. You'll see it later.
Okay. I love it.
But I feel my style is evolving also because of you, because I love your style. And I'm like, okay, maybe I need to paint more in layers. Maybe I need to try, like, because I've always done just kind of like a one layer kind of thing where everything bleeds into each other, like way more loose, so to be. I don't know. I like the way you do things and you have those layers and you don't leave like a lot of white space. Like it's like a light wash of a layer and then you kind of just keep darkening from there. And it's just trying to figure that out. Like
exactly. And I saw that recently you did your video today was about white space.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how I've always painted. And I think I keep sticking with that just because that's what I'm familiar with and how I've always done it.
So that's how I've always done it as well. During this entire time, I've been using the exact same pink. The only difference is how much water I had on my brush to dilute the paint. So this is exactly what we mean by using color values to paint. Layering takes time, and I recommend that you wait between the layers to dry.
I still don't love painting roses. I never really have, but that was definitely the first flower I learned.
Oh, it is also actually the first flower that I learned. I always focus my darkest color values either on the edges or in the center of the flowers. Take your time to do this, and you can also glaze over the petals. So glazing means that you're using a light color value to go over your existing painted area, and this is going to help you to darken existing spots. So I'm doing that with some of the veins, and I'm also doing it there at the stems so that this adds more depth to my painting. I have to say, I really liked your the ones that you did on Monday, the spray carnations.
Yeah, I like those
were incredible.
Thank you. I was watching your video.
I loved it. Like
I was watching you.
Wow, those reds are amazing.
Yeah, the paint, I have this like Paul Rubens palette. The red is really vibrant. I really like it.
If you've come this far, let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the conversations or the painting.
Okay, I want to see your painting.
All right, let's see. I think I'm done.
I think I'm done.
Let's go. Well,
I like yours.
Oh, so I'm gonna add more stuff.
Yeah,
around. We'll see.
I like yours. See, I'm just gonna do all three of them across this sketchbook.
Okay. That's awesome. Okay.
I really enjoyed putting together this video, re-listening to the chats that I had with Emma, and also sharing with you my start to finish process. There was so much that was happening in this video, and I invite you to re-watch it if you want to focus on just seeing how I did things. Now, in this painting, we did wet in dry, and we also did some wet in wet where we added in the veins for some of the petals. Take your time through the process, and I want you to remember that your painting and my painting might turn out different, and that is okay. Following a tutorial does not have to be such that it looks exactly the same, and if anything, I would encourage you to use the tutorial as a guide instead of as a model. So hopefully I leave you with some inspiration to think about the next time you revisit this video. I'll see you in the next video.